Hey guys, just a quick voiceover here. I just want to let you know that once this video is complete, there will be a second part to the video in which I go over the tactic that I am using in the 29 to make all of these things possible. This will probably be one of the most informative videos that I make. I've decided that I will kind of just go all out with explaining the things that I do regardless of what happens with the video, or if somebody else looks at it, or if somebody else just says, "Oh, this is nice, let me post it," and claim that I did it. Who cares? Because this is something that I enjoy doing. So enjoy this clip, and then at the end of it, I will go over a demonstration, as rudimentary as it's going to be, of what's going on. And I believe that once a lot of you who are interested in the MiG-29 or just red pilots in general, this can help blue pilots too, but y'all don't really need it. Once you see this understanding, it will either make things very, very clear for you, or you may still have more questions. But, yep, get back to the video here, and I'll see you. Alright, so let's go over what's happening here. So I got a Bandit 304 for 50 at 2,000, roughly 6,000 feet. So I begin my maneuver to defeat this Bandit's radar. And just kind of go into the ground clutter here. So now reference point for the Bandit here is going to be 340. Was it 304? That's what it was. So now the Bandit's at 314 for 45, which means he has moved 10 degrees past my beam at this point. And that's what I need. I need that Bandit to slowly transition to the rear or aft of my aircraft here. Now we got the Bandit at 328 for 45 for 2,000. So this lets me know it's the same Bandit, and we're progressing as far as the timeline goes. The Bandit is at about 25 plus miles. And now we're going to begin that J-hook turn, because we've successfully flown out of the Bandit scan zone, azimuth, widthwise, and now we're trying to transition to the rear of the Bandit. So now we got the Bandit at 347 for 40. Bandit is now approaching on 20-ish miles, so we're getting closer, and I'm no longer concerned about RWR spikes. I'm keeping an eye on the RWR, but I have successfully outmaneuvered this Bandit. Now the Bandit is about 70 degrees off to my right here, so it's time to turn in. This is going to make a lot more sense when you see the explanation as to why this works. But just remember, like I said, I dove down, flew out of the scan zone, and then committed into a hook turn and accelerated to close the distance. Bandit is now 015 for 35 at 2,000. He's getting close on 15 here. And now we're going full burn towards the Bandit. 029 for 30. The Bandit is now at more of a consistent distance here, which means probably flying away, and I'm in his rear aspect. Now I'm trying to look for the Bandit. I'm not seeing him, so I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Maybe he's terrain masking or out behind the hill. Bandit is now 047 for 28. The Bandit is moving from left to right in front of me, meaning that I am directly behind this Bandit in trail. 28. Bandit is at about 15 miles now. So he's more than likely on the other side of a hill. Alright, 065 for 24. Yep, now we're under 15 miles. So if you're looking at the transition from the bearing calls or broad calls from AWACS, you can kind of, if you can paint the picture in your head, the Bandit's flying slowly away from you, but I am in a good bit of trail behind him, and I'm catching up. So now I get this initial spike here. I'm not sure if it's the Bandit or not, so I go into the notch and I get defensive as quickly as possible, because I'm not quite sure who's spiking me, but at this distance and this radar strength, I'm going to assume it's the Bandit. So we want to defeat that as quickly as possible in terrain mask. Once again, I'm not sure what that is, so I have to call and wait on AWACS to ascertain what I'm dealing with here. 082 for 9. We are in merge territory. Still on the rear of the bandit here in trail. So that spike may have been a friendly or something else, I'm not sure. And there's our bandit. It was, so that spike earlier was not the bandit, not sure what that was, could have been another enemy, but now we're on tail of the bandit, and we're going to send 2 ERs that bandit's way, and that's a good kill. And just want to reiterate that this is how you will be flying the 29. And that's splash. Now in that scenario, I could have merged with the bandit if I really wanted to. Didn't really feel like it, but that is how that will work. And let's move on to the video. Alright guys, welcome to another video. So I'm going to do my best to try and convey what I do in the 29 in multiplayer or against other pilots, and how I get in close to bandits when range is a aspect of BVR combat that I'm not going to do well with. So excuse me for my rudimentary pictures and drawings. I am not a Photoshop or software expert or whatever. I am simply a network engineer. So numbers, great. This stuff, no. But I'm going to do my best to get this across to you guys. Alright, so in the video I think I'm going to post with this, I think I'm engaging a bandit at 2,000 meters, about 6,000 feet, and I think I'm about 4,000 feet. Let me see, 13,000. No, I was at 13,000 feet, I believe. Yeah, I was 2 kilometers above them. But anyways, so let's just say we're starting off an engagement here. Let me bring my scale up. Typically in my timeline, I want to figure out what I'm doing with the bandit at least 50 miles out. So right here, we're at 50, 92 kilometers for those who want to use metric. I prefer metric. This is where I want to start making something happen. So let's say this bandit, like in the video, is, I believe he was like 50 kilometers out. I believe it was 50. Not sure. But I get the bandit's altitude and I'm looking at the range. Our timeline starts here. We're at 50 kilometers. Let's just go with that. I wait until I get a spike on my RWR from the direction of that bandit call out on AWAC. So bandit, if AWAC says, "Hey, you got a bandit coming at you, 340 for 50," I'm gonna fly 340 and get as close as I can until I get that first initial radar sweep, in which the Burrows is going to light up. It's going to light up between the 10 degree points on the receiver, and it's going to light up. You're going to get a signal strength indicator. As soon as I see that, I immediately go defensive, because you don't want to get an AMRAAM launched at you, and you want to be very quick with this movement, because it doesn't take long for someone to lock you up in TWS and AMRAAM your way, which is why a timeline is important here. So F-16 here spikes me, I go defensive, I'm going into the notch, returning down here. So now we're rapidly losing altitude, we're going towards the ground, we're trying to break that radar track. We're doing well so far. This is what we want to do. We want to do this all before, what's my timeline here? 30 miles. So I say 30 miles is pretty good. I don't want to be past 30 miles if I can help it, because, you know, AMRAAMs, they don't really get tricky till about 15 to 10, but you want to be in position to attack by the time you hit this 30-mile point. So bandit spikes, go defensive into the notch towards the ground. I'm essentially below this bandit. He's still at 2,000 meters here. I don't need to type that. He's still at 2,000 meters. Let's go with that. Now, let's say the bandit's radar tried to track that, and it rotates downward. Alright, let's go with this. So now the bandit's radar has adjusted, is trying to follow me through this notch. The radar is eventually going to lose track and then just hold and scan this area. which is fine. Now, the way radar scan zones work is, it's a fixed bar scan length, whatever, it's 4 bar, 6 bar, what have you. But it's a fixed vertical length, meaning that no matter how far away you are, how close you are, it's always going to be a fixed vertical plane for that radar. You can't make the cone bigger the closer the plane gets to the bandit. It's not how it works. So once I dive down into this notch here, you'll see in most videos, let me pull up this other, you'll see in most videos what I'm doing here is I'm coming in, I'm diving down, and then I'm turning horizontally. And what I'm trying to do here is I want to get out of this bandit's radar scan zone or azimuth. You'll hear me say that a lot, like scan zone, azimuth. I'm trying to get out of it. Essentially, you're trying to get out of that horizontal sweep. A radar goes do, 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 do. You're trying to get out of it in some form of horizontal direction. And what that does is once I lose that spike, once that my RWR is saying, okay, you're no longer being tracked, what I'm doing is I'm taking my MiG-29 and I am zooming out this way or that way, and I'm trying to get around the bandit. So I'm trying to essentially come down here. Okay, I lost my spike. Now I'm turning in to get to this bandit here. So essentially what happens is, see if I can draw that out. Bear with me, guys. I don't really do this often, so fuck it. Excuse my language. Alright, so let's see. Will this show? It won't show. Nice. But essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get down on the deck, come out horizontally, defeat that track, and once I defeat it, I want to go as quickly as I can to get outside of that radar azimuth and move away from the bandit in the horizontal. Now, the second part of this is once I've defeated the bandit's radar and I'm no longer getting swept and I've come out this way, this is where your options kind of start to come to light here. I can either come out this way and J-hook behind the bandit and get on his tail and take him out, or I can come this way. As the bandit keeps going, AWACS is, okay, bandit, 340 for 30. Let's look at our timeline here. So now AWACS has said, okay, the bandit it was at 50, or 92 kilometers. I've gone through my procedures. I'm coming out horizontally. I'm out of the bandit scan zone. Now AWACS says, bandit, let's say the bandit's, 20 degrees past my beam now. So my reference point for notching the bandit was the initial heading of 340. I've turned horizontally and flown out of the bandit scan zone, and now let's say the bandit is 360. So for those of you who may not be inclined to understand, let's just say the bandit was initially, oh gosh, it's ugly, 340, and now I've progressed this way, and now the bandit is 20 degrees past my beam at 360 or true north. Now the bandit is 20 degrees past my beam. This is good news because what that tells me is the bandit is now transitioning to my rear this way. God, this looks horrible. So what that lets me know is I've successfully moved past the bandit, which is what I'm doing with my multiple callouts. Let's get this off the screen. So if I've successfully moved past that bandit, it gives me the option of, do I want to J-hook around the bandit who is now coming this way? Do I want to now come around and J-hook behind the bandit? Or do I want to come out this way, climb up, gain altitude, and then come back down on the bandit? There's so many different ways like you can attack from this position. So I can either J-hook, come in from below, J-hook, climb up above the bandit. So if he's at 2,000 meters, let me climb to 7 and then come down on top of him. Now, what's advantageous about this is, let's say the bandit gets a, matter of fact, let's just say the reason why this works simply is because like I said earlier, the radar scan zone is going to be at a fixed point. The closer you get to a bandit, the more narrow this scan zone becomes. So the closer I get, the more this pilot's going to have to adjust his radar to compensate for my closure. And that means he's going to have a narrower scan zone as I come in, even if he adjusts for the distance. So if he's at 35 miles and he adjusted for 10, it's still the azimuth of this scan zone is not going to change. So that's why when you get closer, you want to, which is why I go into afterburner, and as soon as I get under that bandit's radar, let's see here, as soon as I get under the bandit's radar here, and I hear a call out for 340 at 46 or 37, that's the money zone. Why is that? Because that's telling me, okay, this guy's getting closer to that 20 miles. His radar scan zone at 20 miles. Don't do this to me, Paint. You see me selecting the pin or whatever. Let's do at 20 miles. Let's just say here is going to be very narrow. He's going to have to make major adjustments to pick me up. So my goal is to get here as fast as possible. So when the AWAC says, oh, he's at 30 miles, 25 miles, really 25 to 20 miles, I'm an afterburner and I am going to I'm going to the bandit as quickly as possible, because he's not going to have time to adjust for my closure unless his AWACS picks me up. And even if it does, by the time he gets that contact, I'm in position to fire. I'm not giving him a chance to get a solution on me and return fire. So what it is, it's a game of beating the opponent's radar funnel as quickly as possible to get in close and come in for a kill. I hope this is recording well, because I can't tell. So this is something that I've seen in a memoir that I read. I've seen it discussed by pilots per se, not as in depth. So I kind of have to come up with my own interpretation of what may be going on. And this is what I've come up with, essentially. And it works every time. So this was kind of fun for me. I might have to work on how I do it, but I do like explaining these things. As rudimentary as it is, some of you guys might like this, some of you may not. But either way, thanks for watching this. I hope this goes across well, and I'll see you in the next one.